The Great Debate Series.
Second.
Best quarterback ever.
Dynamite. Dynamite production there.
By the way, Maggie, how many people are going to call and say, what about Tom Brady?
I know. Well, it's just like yesterday we said we did inside linebacker. We didn't take any calls on Lawrence Taylor because he's not an inside linebacker, so we didn't do it. Anyway, so we're doing the second greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, actually, it's your turn. On the offensive player, you go first.
Okay. The second greatest quarterback of all time behind Tom Brady is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, who has been one of the most dominant and most productive quarterbacks throughout his nearly 20-year career. This was a guy who was not a system. In fact, revolutionized the position, redefined the role in how he controlled games on the fly. He changed the way quarterbacks prepare. Now, and he has records that I'm sure will be broken because the NFL is like that, including this incredible one that needs to be acknowledged.
Manning's in the shotgun by himself. Peyton throws home run. He's got Julius Thomas there. Thomas with the touchdown, and there's the record. Peyton Manning's 51st touchdown pass of the year, and a beauty to Julius Thomas. Move over Tom Brady. That chair belongs to Peyton Manning this year.
A 5-time MVP, a 7-time first-team All-Pro, led the league in pass yards or touchdowns 7 different times. That's just part of it. I mean, retired with most passing yards, has so many incredible accolades, and was also someone who struck fear into the hearts of defenses, right? Because he was so hard to prepare for, always keeping you on your toes. Now, of course, you're going to talk to me about the postseason.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to bring that up. I mean, I was just curious, well, those 5 MVP years, he must have won the Super Bowl all those years, right? Okay.
Well, first of all, I had Barry Sanders as my greatest running back of all time yesterday, and we weren't talking about postseason then. I know legacies can be defined there. Peyton Manning, though, did finish his career with a 14-13 playoff record. Ooh. He goes 2-2 in Super Bowls, so it's not like he was never making Super Bowls. And it's not like he was, completely inept here. He was having postseason success. It's just he was set the bar so high in the regular season, it felt like a disappointment in the postseason.
I don't know about that. I feel like, did they lose 41-0 to the Jets in one postseason?
Listen, the Jets had Parcells at the time.
I mean, come on. He for the first half of his career, he was terrible in the postseason. You can't put it any other way.
Okay, but I can also give you, while he does have some high-profile, high-interception games and things like that in the postseason, I could bore you to death with numbers about the lack of run support he had and the lack of defensive support that he had in those seasons.
But a lot of those games, he put together like a field goal effort the entire game. I mean, the offense just fell apart once they got, he beat up the AFC South. He's basically tall Drew Brees. He's an indoor quarterback who put up gigantic numbers.
He has more accolades than Drew Brees.
Tall Drew Brees.
No. That's doing a disservice. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Peyton Manning's obviously awesome, and I agree that he was a revolutionary sort of style quarterback, too. Now, if you're going to tell me about postseason, I'm looking at my quarterback. I can't find a single flaw because that is Joe Montana, number 2 quarterback of all time. So he was in 4 Super Bowls, famously 4-0. But that's not the stat that I am really blown away by. He had 11 touchdowns and no picks in those Super Bowls. Never threw an interception in 4 Super Bowls.
So it's not a Jerry Rice?
What difference does it make if throwing to Jerry Rice or who he's throwing to? The defense never touched the ball. He was perfect. He obviously had all the accolades of the MVPs and stuff. He also helped revolutionize the game along with Bill Walsh. Can you imagine? This was a time when there were no small quarterbacks. Can you imagine if Joe Montana got a hold of today's NFL where you can't hit the quarterback? Because I was looking at his year by year. The only thing that stopped him from winning 6 Super Bowls was he kept getting hurt because he was not huge. And there was 2 strike seasons also that kind of waylaid the Niners during the 80s. But he was unbelievable. If it wasn't for injuries, he would have probably had 6 for Brady to chase after. And then now I know he lost his job to Steve Young, but he told us at the Super Bowl, Maggie. Do you remember what he told us?
I do. I was trying to forget it.
The muscle came off his forearm. He was talking about Brock Purdy's injury. So there's a reason they got rid of him. But then he went to Kansas City and won a playoff game in Kansas City, which no one at that time ever did. I am not huge into clutch stats, but there's no one more clutch than Joe Montana. Not Tom Brady, not Eli Manning, who's the most clutch Manning brother. He just was unbelievable at the biggest moments, and he was also unbelievable during the non-big moments. There's a famous game against the Eagles where he threw 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. He just wanted to win more than any quarterback of his time. And to me, the debate really, for my second, was Elway versus Montana. But Montana's winning ability put him over Elway, and certainly puts him over Manning in my mind, just because quarterback's all about winning. I know wins is not a quarterback stat,
no.
But to be able to lead your team at the biggest moment is the most important thing a quarterback can do. And no one except for Tom Brady did it like Joe Montana.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we're doing second best quarterback of all time because we are conceding that Brady is number one. It'd be really hard to argue against Tom Brady. So I have Peyton Manning. Perloff has Joe Montana. You're welcome to weigh in. See, Peyton Manning gets hurt because he doesn't have moments. You know, like Montana has moments. Brady has moments. Close games, fourth quarter comebacks, things like that. Brady, for Peyton, the Super Bowls for the most part were kind of lopsided, you know, like either winning or losing were kind of lopsided. And unfortunately, his biggest moment probably is the Tracy Porter, like returning the touchdown for, interception for a touchdown against the Saints. So his like one big Super Bowl moment is kind of like, it's a bad moment. And so I think like Brady had these like close wins. All of his Super Bowls were interesting. Peyton doesn't really have that. He just has the dominance, the sustained success, the consistency.
Well, I think that Peyton got lucky because a really, really bad Bears team stuck through to the Super Bowl against him in one of them. And then the other one, he wasn't even the MVP of. I mean, he had 9 touchdowns and 17 picks in 2015 and just witnessed the Broncos win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And to me, he was just a fancy witness to that.
Okay, and again, I hate this because I'm not trying to disparage Joe Montana here, but you are Mr. System. I said Jerry Rice was the greatest wide receiver of all time 2 days ago, and you're like, Bill Walsh, but the system. But now when it's Joe Montana, it doesn't matter that he was part of the system in the West Coast offense.
Can you edit out the last 30 seconds of Maggie talking from the podcast? Because I don't know what you're talking about, Maggie.